Hey, I'm Henry Kaiser, and
I'm Bill Walker.
we are both users of the Neunaber reverb, chorus, echo. It does many different things, pedals. He markets them as separate pedals, or you can get a slate one, or you can change all the internal programs.
And every one of his pedals can be loaded with any of his other algorithms through his editor librarian. And he's come out with a new version 2.
Recently, with some great new sounds, really great reverbs, a fantastic plate, a beautiful, great hall. And we used to just to be able to use one of those at a time in a pedal, but with this new EXP controller, we can have 4 different algorithms, so to speak, in the pedal, and a couple of presets for each one, right?
That's right.
We both like it a lot. You do, right?
I love it. You actually turned me on to the wet reverb.
I love it. Anyway, we just thought we'd show you why we love it, just show you how each of us individually uses it. Not a fancy gear demo or anything, but just showing how versatile it is for us and how enjoyable, right?
Yes, okay. Exactly.
So, so you're first,
okay? Okay, so I'm going to just show you a little bit of my board and how I use Brian Neunaber's effects. I've got an older version wet, and I've got the newer Seraphim stereo shimmer. And with the wet, I'm using his echelon scatter echo algorithm for kind of dubbing effects. And on his Seraphim, and which is true of all the new version 2 pedals, I've got 4 different algorithms blown into this. And his new Expression EXP switching system allows me to toggle between 4 of those different presets, and also either have 2 different settings for the knobs on the pedal, or it also allows me to plug an expression pedal into and control either all 3 knobs at once or each knob individually. I've opted to use the morph input, which basically will change all 3 knobs at once with the control of a pedal. So how might I use this? How might I use this would be to bloom my reverb or my delay. I might bring the mix in deeper as I go to toe down. I might also increase the regeneration, or if it's a reverb, I'm using the hall size. So heel down would be kind of a small hall, moving all the way to a very deep, long trail hall that I use for ambient effects and also for capturing loops. Create real big ambient sounds when I capture loops. And I think the other component I wanted to mention is this Mission Expressionator is plugged into all 3 of my digital effects that have real-time control. This includes the Eventide and the 2 Neunaber effects. So in each case, this expression pedal is tied to that Expressionator, and then they go on to the various effects and control my delay and echo and shimmer depths and whatever else I happen to use. I'd also like it to control chorus depth and also chorus speed at the same time, to go from kind of a slow chorus to almost a Leslie effect. I don't have one of those algorithms burned in right now, but that could be done very quickly with a modern technology. So anyway, let's maybe demo a little bit of this, shall we?
Yeah, so you just, to put in different algorithms, you just connect it to your computer, right?
That's right. I've got it connected via this little USB port and connected to my computer. You don't see the, well, you can see it. Let me just call it up here. So I've called up the librarian for the Neunaber effects, and what I would do is I just click on a tab here, and it would show a few different variations of that particular effect, and you would click on that variation, and you would load it and store it in your Neunaber effect. And like I say, you can do 4 different effects, and he's got great reverbs, great choruses, a shimmer verb, a thing called an infinity hold, which is a great sounding freeze, and a couple other little things up his sleeve. And the thing I'm really digging about him is he's always coming up with new algorithms. The most recent is a plate reverb, which is stunning, and also an algorithm called Great Hall, which I'm using for nice, huge, wide open, big reverb sounds. So that's that. And Let's see. Here would be several different reverbs.
Well, you can't really see them.
You can't really see them, huh?
I mean, you can sort of see, there's a bunch of,
Yeah, here's some tabs.
Yeah, can you see it?
You can't really. Okay. Well, we might have to edit it. Yeah.
Okay. So anyway, let's switch over and show some stuff you do.
The first effect I'm going to demonstrate is the plate reverb. I love this because it does a great long big tail, and I use the expression pedal to basically bring the mix in, but also to increase the room size as I do. So I go from kind of what I'd call small hall to very, very big hall. So. Next up is the Seraphim Shimmer Reverb. This adds a really lovely octave tail to the reverb sound. And in this case, I am using the expression pedal to basically bring in the shimmer effect and also increase the reverb depth as I do it. This next effect is a new one, and it's called Great Hall, and I've got it set the same basic way in heel down position on my expression pedal. I've got a fairly deep reverb, but a fairly short decay, and now that's going to get increasingly longer as I bring the pedal forward. Next up is another variation on the Seraphim Shimmer effect. This one is a little bit more pronounced in the shimmer effect. And it has both a very long rise time and a long decay time, the shimmer. Okay, now I'd like to demonstrate the Echelon scatter echo effect. What I love about this effect is its initial echo starts to syncopate very quickly and scatter into a lot of different little delays and essentially diffuse into more of a reverb type texture.
So what you're saying is that the time of the delay in feedback changes.
That's right.
As it's in feedback.
That's correct.
So show us just with a little click. Let's hear what it means.
So yeah, it starts to syncopate and then diffuse. I've got my expression pedal creating, actually just controlling mix. I've got a very long regeneration on it, so it'll just kind of act as a dub kind of tail. the things I really like about how Mix is controlled with his effects is Mix is at the front of the echo. It's actually designed to feed the echo with your dry signal, and that means that whatever regeneration you have will not get abruptly cut off once you bring your expression pedal back to 0. Okay, so I'm going to demonstrate that. I'm actually going to play a note with no echo and then just bring in the tail with no picking attack. I find a very useful way to increase sustain of the note by blooming the delay after I've plucked the note. Let's try that on some chords and you'll see what I mean. Another cool way to use this very long-tailed scatter echo is to just leave the echo on just a little bit while playing into it. A little bit more. So Henry, how do you use your Neunaber effects?
So I'm just going to show you with the touring board that I use on the road that's small enough to fit in a 50-pound piece of luggage with the rest of my gear on the airplane. And I'm just going to step through what's in my Neunaber pedal right now with the EXP controlling the 4 different algorithms and 2 presets each. And I'll just put a little loop in the background and just play on over each one for a second, and then you can hear. I kind of don't use it for fancy looping or fancy things very much. I just use it for different reverbs and echoes when I'm playing with a rhythm section, most typically. Most of the time. I mean, though it's fantastic for the stuff you're doing, and sometimes I'll do stuff like that, but I'll just show you more typically what I use it for with exactly what's programmed into it now. So it's what I use in real life. Okay,
Here we go.
So here's the Neunaber unit. It's labeled a Seraphim, but like all his V2 units, it can be any of his algorithms or any of his pedals. And here is the EXP controller that controls it. Can step through 4 different algorithms, 4 different colors, and then 2 presets in each one. Let's hear the reverb dry guitar. Now I've got a little loop here I made with some reverb. I'll play that, and I'll just play over it and step through the first 3 slots, which are different reverbs, and the last one, which is a scatter echo. Dry guitar. echo.
Cool.
Cool.
Now that was the scatter, echelon, echo, correct?
At the end, in the last slot in the red, I had the echo.
And which reverb algorithms were you using? I know there's a number of them.
I was using the kind of sort of classic wet one there, and
yeah.
then I was using the plate, and then I was using the Great Hall.
Great, and they are all color-coded, those different presets that you step through, so that's the visual representation. It's a little hard to see from here, but
yes,
yeah.
if you can remember which one you've programmed to which color, which is
an
advanced skill.
And then the preset settings again are two different, completely different reconfigurations of the knobs. So that could be anything from what, like different mix to different
Right,
delay depth.
longer reverb, less reverb, more reverb, whatever.
Yeah, yeah.
Cool.
Cool.
Okay.
Thanks.
Thank you, sir.
Alrighty.
Next time.
Alrighty.
Bye-bye.